Hello, this is Mark Henry, author of Dancing with Energy, Healing, Magic, and Mysticism. Well, I planned on doing this video yesterday. However, in case you weren't aware, I was hit by hurricane, then downgraded to Tropical Storm Barry. But this is nothing unusual for Louisiana. We get hit by these storms. In fact, it's funny that you go on Facebook and people that I know were taunting the storm about how weak it was. So, in any case, what I want to discuss today is called Understanding Your Soul Contracts. And I want to discuss this because I'm seeing on message boards in metaphysical parts of the internet about this idea about the soul contract and getting out of your soul contract. And I wanted to kind of discuss it and explain it and kind of hash some of it out. So let's begin. So what is your soul contract? Well, first of all, this idea isn't a new idea, although I know that some people are taking liberties with the idea. This is an older idea. It comes from Theosophy. But let me get into it and I'll tell you exactly what it is. So your soul contract. So what happens is that, and this presupposes the idea of reincarnation. So if you don't subscribe to that belief, that's fine. However, you probably still will find it interesting. So the idea is that when we die, we go into another realm, a spiritual realm, and we meet with our higher self, some people say, our masters, our guides, and we discuss what are going to be the life lessons that we're going to try to tackle in the next life on the earth plane. So to try again, some people speculate that it goes even more than just picking out the lessons. Sometimes they get into specifics. For example, maybe sometimes different souls will travel together. This goes into some of the idea of twin souls and things, and they kind of help each other evolve by operating in different positions in your lives. So thus some people say, this person is familiar, maybe you were in a past life together. Okay. So that's, in a nutshell, the soul contract. You are voluntarily, no one's forcing you, you're not compelled to do it by anyone, to make an agreement to learn certain lessons, sometimes in specific ways, in order to help you yourself grow and evolve spiritually. So this is a good thing. And over time, you will learn your lessons, and you won't have to necessarily go through certain experiences again to learn those lessons. And you might go into other more advanced concepts, just like if you were in fifth grade and you got everything you need to learn from math, science. You go to the next level, and you won't necessarily forget those that information from the fifth grade. So you get to embody it, and you move on. Okay, so next, and this is, by the way, this is part of what's called karma. So this is tied to, again, learning, growing, and evolving. And there's certain experiences that we need to have in order to become better people, more self-actualized, more spiritually realized. So this is connected to karma and reincarnation. So now here is where something that the newer idea that I want to talk about too. It's the idea of getting out of your soul contract. So, in other words, the people that subscribe to this believe that they can kind of go into meditation, get in their head, and somehow get out of these agreements that they've made for them to learn certain lessons have certain experiences. Why would anybody do that? Well, as you can imagine why they would, and I don't blame them. Life is hard. Life, as the Buddha says, is suffering. And sometimes it can be so unpleasant at times that you want to throw your hands up. So I and most people would not blame anyone for trying to get out of these soul contracts, because it's very stressful being here. And to be honest with you, that's one of the reasons why you agreed and your guides agreed to come down here and learn, because the earth plane, this plane of matter and form, is so full of friction that it's actually a good opportunity to learn, and sometimes learn very quickly because of the harshness of it, because of that friction I just mentioned. There is not anything like this in the other realms, not the same type of learning opportunity. So there's that. Next. I'll tell you what. I'll give you an example of getting out of a soul contract. Okay? So let's say that you agreed in this period between lives, I think in Tibetan Buddhism they refer to it as a bardo. You'd agreed to learn patience, which is something that all of us are learning, I think. Now, one of the things that may have manifested in your life to learn patience might be to deal with somebody with special needs, perhaps a relative, maybe a child. And by dealing and learning to love and understand maybe this particular family member, or even from their point of view, it helps you grow emotionally and as a person. That would be one example. Another might be that you agree to learn about gratitude. So maybe the way that you are kind of wired karmically until you learn gratitude might be to unconsciously put yourself in positions where you don't make the best decisions and you wind up not having a lot of money. So the idea of, being thankful for what you have could be an example. And I'm just making these up to illustrate how it is. I'm not saying that this is exactly how it might work in someone's life, but this is definitely an illustration. There are a lot of different lessons that one can learn, and those would be just two. Now, here is why I think it's not a good idea to get out of these contracts. Although I understand why one would try to get out of the contracts. Well, first of all, that I don't believe that these contracts are like a Verizon cell phone contract where, you get out of it and there's some type of maybe small consequence. I actually don't believe in a way that it's a good idea that once you make an agreement, unless there's some type of really extraordinary circumstance, to break any type of agreement, because I think that is probably bad for your self-esteem. It's important to not only see yourself and have other people in a way kind of see you as somebody who follows through. So I'm not a big believer in breaking agreements or breaking promises in general. But here is some reasons why I think that it's not a good idea to even try. One is, if you think about these lessons and you coming here or anyone, human being coming here to fulfill these agreements, can you think of all of the thoughts and beliefs and feelings that are associated with that? All the connections in your brain related to how you see this situation? So let's say you were able to talk to your guides and whatever and snap your fingers and get out of it. What were you hoping for? Would your life just turn to sunshine? I mean, you could actually, it seems that if you would have your brain and everything would be completely rewired in a different way, different beliefs all of a sudden magically, which I think could cause a little bit of confusion. Maybe, some type of mental illness. That's my speculation, of course, but there is a lot behind these agreements. There is a lot of emotion, there are a lot of things behind it, and that if you were able to just wipe it away, you might be kind of wandering the streets. That's number one. It's losing your navigation system. Okay, second one, I think this one's important too, is that we all made this decision to come here on a spiritual plane when we were free from stress. We were able to look at our lives, past and perhaps a little bit in the future, with a clear lens. We're able to meet with people who care about us, our masters, our guides, who are able to help us and guide us to help make those decisions. We voluntarily made an agreement with them to go ahead and do this. We did this under optimal conditions, and to make all this ball roll in this direction. So now on the earth plane, when you may be full of stress, anxiety, depression, maybe medical illness, you are not in the greatest state of mind to overturn this. We make our best decisions when we have a lot of focus and a kind of a clear head. So we were probably making the wisest decision when we were over there, when we were very supported, and when we were able to look at the landscape from a different perspective. That's number 2. 3. I believe that the person who does this would be going to be unsuccessful. I don't think it necessarily works. I think that agreement over there has more power than agreement of us connecting, and I'll give you why. The reason why I think it's going to be unsuccessful is because the people that I've seen who've done this, let's say that they have a lesson and they're tied to somebody by their own words that is karmically challenging to them. I see them having the same, afterwards, after they say that they're getting out of their soul agreement, having the same problems with the same person, and if not the same person, with another person in a similar way. So if you were able to get out of it, then it seems like you'd be smooth sailing for the rest of your time with this issue, and I don't see that happening. I don't think that they are getting out of their agreements. The next one would be, and it's a possibility, I'm not guaranteeing that this is something that could happen, but these agreements and the thoughts and the feelings and everything is a holistic system. If you were able to get out, let's say that somebody said, I want to get out of all of my agreements, I want to just live my life without all of these obligations and things that I agree to. This is such a central part of your existence that it's possible that 6 months you could die. I mean, it could be the end of your existence, because I believe everybody's life has a purpose. There's a spiritual correlate to it. Possibility, again. And I think the biggest one for me is that if you were to get out of your agreements, that means that you decided not to learn in this area, because you specifically picked this to learn in that area. So if you said, okay, I give up, I'm tapping out, then guess what? If if you really believe in this idea, which is reincarnation, you're going to have to come back here and do it again. Maybe not with this specific person, but you're going to run up against this lesson again. Because I believe that we all have the same sort of core things we need to learn. So why not just go through it? And that's my advice. My advice is anytime that you have a serious problem to grow spiritually is to go through it. To get the support that you need internally, do research, do spiritual practice, get the help from people, maybe your family or spiritual advisors, and move through it. Because guess what? If you move through it and you learn that lesson, who gets the credit? You do. And you don't get out of it your agreement, and you won't have to look at yourself as somebody who doesn't complete things that they set out to do. So I hope that this video was helpful to you. I don't want to come across in any way as being thinking that getting out of soul contracts is people who do that, there's something wrong with them or anything like that. I'm not shaming anybody. I certainly don't want to do that. But I do want everyone to think carefully before they go ahead and, when they're mulling this over, because it's a big deal, and it's a lot to think about. So I wish everyone well. I think I made a request the last video. If you, as a favor to me, if you have read my book, if you can just go and write a review. It doesn't even matter if it's a bad comment. Just write something, 1 or 2 lines. All you got to do is go to my book on Amazon and hit the review button, write a couple sentences, and hit submit, and that's it. Anyway, I'd appreciate it if you've done that. And I will talk to you another day. Please subscribe and like. And you have a good rest of the weekend. Bye-bye.